To order. Oh, okay, we got that. Good morning again. So calling the meeting to order at 10:30. And the first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the February meeting. I would entertain a motion. Thank you, Jeff. I need a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Diane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on, committee reports. Rhonda, circulation committee, you want to come up here, if possible?
Good morning. I think a packet went out to you, so most of what I need to say is already in that. Thank you to Poplar Bluff and Barry Lawrence for the last two regional trainings that we had. We are looking at doing the last one for this round sometime in late August, early September, in the northwest quadrant of the state. So that's going to be coming down the pipe before information coming out. The committee has finalized the recommendation on how to handle the situation when a patron comes in to your library and requests a card. They already have a card at another Missouri Evergreen library. So that wording is also in the packet that went out, but I'll just go ahead and read it for those of you who are here. A new account may be created as long as patrons do not have outstanding charges on other Missouri Evergreen accounts. If other Missouri Evergreen accounts are failed and there are outstanding charges that exceed your library's fines/fee threshold, ask the patron to reconcile the charges on their other accounts first before creating a new account. So this is a recommendation from the subcommittee. We're going to be posting it on our best practices. Circulation committee has also been tasked with developing some procedures to deal with data integrity and governance throughout the consortium. So there will be information. We're working on it hopefully next week, and by the June membership meeting, we hope to have something to bring forward to you on that. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up is cataloging committee, Kate Cole and Liz.
Good morning, everyone. So I just wanted to talk about what we're doing in the committee real quick. We are doing, we talked a lot yesterday about our monthly reports, and we are almost complete with every single one of those reports has a step-by-step instructions on what it is, what to do with it, and why we need to do it. So we went over that yesterday, but these will be written down step-by-step instructions. There's also a guide just in general on how to manipulate your reports in Excel to get what we need out of it. And we talked again about that yesterday. Those of you that weren't here yesterday, we had some great sessions, so it was good. Like Jennifer was just talking about, we are also working about aligning our permission levels with our certification needs. And so we are aligning that, and we're getting that all worked out, and I think it'll be finalized pretty soon. And then the image uploader workflow. There is going to be, we all know that this is a cool feature. We can't just give it to anybody, sorry. So we're working on a workflow within our committee to see how we want to do it, because we do know that several libraries probably have hundreds of things that they want to get their pictures onto in this first initial push. So we're trying to consider that and then how we're going to do it after that initial push, you know, in our day-to-day. So that's what we're working on in the committee.
Okay, what is Liz cooking? Regional trainings, guys. We're halfway through, but there are 3 still coming up. Livingston 519, Poplar Bluff 69, and Trail 623. If you want to know how the other ones went, I just ask people who've been there. I can send you, and they can like secretly tell you how Kate and I are in that setting in case you're scared about it. But be there, be square. We do cover anything from like we talk about like mark. We go all the way up to like advanced cataloging. So there is something for everybody, and it is very question based and who is there. Please come. We won't bite you, I swear. Also. What are we talking about? Oh, the authority load. Okay, so as Galen mentioned yesterday, they're working on getting rid of the duplicate authorities. 25,000 or so has been deleted. As this project is being completed and finally gets completed, we will talk about authority training. And that will be an added like training that we will all talk about. And then after it's done this time, it will get added into the basic and advanced certification.
So 25,000 duplicates have been deleted already, but we still, I mean, there's over
Like
what,
that 90,000.
90,000 that are going to be, and these are just duplicate ones that are messing everything up.
Yeah.
And then once we get the authority, our authority file nice and clean and working well, then we can
Talk about
train
what that
and we
means.
can know what that means and how the authority file helps us in our.
That's it, I guess.
Questions?
All right, thank you both. All right, I can guarantee you this, if you come to the Kelly training at Livingston County Library, you will be fed well. Yes. Saying those words. And I'm sure there's gonna be quite the accommodations for the other libraries as well for the Kelly training, but I said sooner, so. Yeah. Moving on, reports committee, Tony, are you with us today virtually? No? Tony did a really nice session for us yesterday. I know most of the presentation slides are on the SCED platform. So once again, I'm just gonna put out a little shout out there for them for you to go get those presentation slides, just for your reference. And then if you've got questions or concerns, then you can actually go talk to the presenters about, hey, what was this about? All right, going on, onboarding committee, Leanne, are you with us today?
Hi, yes, I am.
Hey.
All right, don't have too much to go over, just a rundown of the next libraries that are coming on board. So we have St. Joseph coming here soon, May 11th. In July, we have Cape Girardeau, Nevada in September, Morgan County in November, and Von Terre is on the list as well. And then the other thing I just want to mention is if anyone is interested in joining the onboarding committee, just please contact me, and we'd love to have some more people get involved with this.
And one of the things that I know the executive board have been talking to you, Leanne, about, and therefore I do understand the call for more committee members to join you, is actually having some onboarding documentations for new library directors and or new staff. Those are things that we, as we all know, there's turnover, there's reasons why people leave, why they come back, or those things and get hired. So I think actually having some kind of documentation, and I don't want to say training manual, but that's the one of the directions that we're asking the onboarding committee to do. So if you have some great knowledge and some skills, please join Leanne for that, as we try to get some of that documentation for the new directors and new staff hires that we all seem to have. So anyway, anything else we need? Any questions for Leanne? And your contact information is?
Just contact me at Leanne, LEEANN @blrlibrary.org, and I can go ahead and put that in the chat as well.
That'd be great, thank you. And I also know that Tony is also looking for committee members for the reports committee. So if you have anything technically minded, which I am not, just if you have that expertise and love that data and love stats and statistics, get a hold of Tony and get on his committee as well. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the executive board retreat and strategic planning. Got it. All right. I'm just going to do a quick overview. The executive board met on Wednesday. We had a full day with Dr. Diana Berry. She was formerly with the State Library. She has great experience with consortium work. So we met with her and with Mickey, Liz, and a lot of Kate. See, I get people, executive board, and getting all of that, going forward, we felt that we needed to have a strategic plan outlined. So we created a vision statement, which is different from the mission statement that I talked about yesterday. Our core values are these: business stability, transparency. But if you ever attended a meeting with me, I'm always talking about transparency. Trust, affordability, accuracy, and sustainability. Those are our core values. Those are the things that we're striving for. Our concentrated areas of focus are staffing, consortial staffing, executive director, consortium cataloger, migration specialist, maybe adding more positions as our consortium continues to grow. It's very important for us to have that staffing because we are too large, right, Shannon? We are too large to do this on a volunteer basis. We're too large of a consortium. We're still asking more members to join us. So we actually need to have consortium staff. Funding. If you have any knowledge about funding sources, grants that we can apply for outside of the state library's grants, I will always highly tout the offerings that the Missouri State Library offers. The consortium, their willingness to listen to us, to help us in our plans and funding through LSTA, through IMLS and LSTA funds. But we also need other outside sources. So if there's other outside grants, a foundation, hey, you've got a local foundation that is looking for a bigger project for the whole state of Missouri, let us know. Let us know, and we can research that, and we can find out. I'm all about finding all kinds of different funding sources. Also, the other thing with funding was we were looking at budgets, fees, and everything else. So just know that whatever comes of all of the action plans, the objectives and the goals of the action plans for the concentrated areas of focus, those will be related to everybody or anything happens. The other thing was member education. Basically getting everybody aligned and going forward, and making sure that we have training offerings, that we are servicing our staff, our library staff as well, and also our member education just for directors. Knowing there was a whole slide yesterday about how to be involved and how to have your voice heard, and actually learning the things that makes this consortium work. So the three main goals, I will quickly go through them, and then I'm going to wrap that part up. Goal 1 is to provide Missouri Evergreen ILS public libraries in Missouri to create shared resources and services that are controlled and maintained by Missouri Public Libraries through the Missouri Evergreen Consortium. That's been goal from day 1. Goal 2, develop an effective and efficient business model to control the management of staff, finances, onboarding, training, and necessary business services required of our organization. That goes back to the concentrated area of staffing. Goal 3, develop a stratified training program to educate library staff at different levels of experience to provide Missouri Evergreen certification program. Case in point, cataloging certification. Now we're looking at other areas where we can actually certify staff, and it will always be a continuing education model. What to expect as we work through those objectives and those action items. Surveys. We need your feedback. So if Mickey or the executive director is posting the survey, we need for you to respond. That's one way to that we can hear your voice. Listening posts. We'll have relevant discussions concerning what's important to you and your library success. At your library, through email, over a phone, through Zoom, however we need to make that happen, we will make that happen. Training events, I think that's gonna be another element for all of our training events going forward is having that listening post, so we can hear what's on your mind. Communications with the boards and committees, notifications of important meetings, proposed changes, votes, and all in the name of transparency. What else? What else do you want the board to know? How could you relay that information? We need to hear from you, and that's what we're asking you to do. Anything else that we need to add to that strategic plan? Okay. We're gonna do the financial report. Jeff and Kristen with Amigos. Tag you're it, which one?
Outstanding this report. We have received most of our membership and so nothing unusual.
Yay, snaps everybody for being on time. Kristen, do you want to add some more?
Yeah, just what Jeff said, this is the quiet time of year right now. All of the membership dues have been received for this fiscal year, except for the ones that are gonna be coming on. So yay for that. And so right now, we're just paying the expenses as they come in. And things will probably get busier towards August, September, when we're closing out the year and starting the new fiscal year.
All right, thank you so
So there
much.
was a grant payment that we received in February of over $47,000.
Grants are vital to our existence. I hope everybody understands that. All right, Missouri State Library, Janet, do you have anything to add? You attended the training yesterday, and we're very happy that you're here with us today.
Hi, for people that don't know me, I am the technology and resource sharing consultant at Missouri State Library. And through resource sharing, the three things I oversee is the Missouri Evergreen Grant, the grant with MALA for courier service, and OCLC ILL. So all that works together. Yesterday in the last presentation, there was kind of joking about how much support the LSTA funds provide for Missouri Evergreen. And this year it is at 75% of the Equinox hosting support. And next year for FY24, we have budgeted that at 85%. Ways that we support Evergreen is also through the courier service. Now that is for all public libraries that do resource sharing, so it's not just Missouri Evergreen. But you do the bulk of the sharing within the state. And we look at the annual volume to each library to determine if you receive 1, 2, or 3 days of subsidized delivery to your library. And if you want more than that, then you do have the option of working with all directly to have additional days paid by the library. For OCLC, we do a 100% subscription for their interlibrary loan and First Search World Cat Discovery. And this year we're looking at, and ILL is for just certain libraries based on whether they use ILL. It's not all libraries use it, the ILL. And First Search is actually available to all libraries. And this year we found out some little quirks working with OCLC. One being that the list of libraries that we provide ILL subscription to is not the same list of libraries that receive First Search and World Cat Discovery. We did not know that, and in FY24 we're going to put each list of those within our contract, and we're looking at what we need to moving forward. Part of moving forward is, again, looking at those lists looking at statistics of each library, do you use First Search or WorldCat Discovery for staff or patrons? Do you use ILL? Or are you doing mainly your resource sharing through Missouri Evergreen? So if you do most of your sharing through Missouri Evergreen, there's a chance of like you really use ILL just like 10 times during the year. You may not receive that subscription. You can always still request items from other libraries using ALA in their library request form. So that's one thing we're looking at. Another way for us supporting Evergreen is looking at a cataloging subscription. I know Katie's over there. We're just getting a cataloging subscription. And that would be for the consortium. We were thinking only for the consortium cataloger and kind of trickle down, but what we kind of preliminary discussions with OCLC is that it would be a group subscription for all Evergreen members. And that would be full catalog, not that express, not small library. So we're looking at that. The cost for public libraries is based on their population area served and circulation. So they would have looked at that for whether we got just consortium only. So that'd be for everyone. And then they put a group discount on top of that. Do they let you know what size it is? Not at this time, but for those of you who have worked with their CLC,
They're bears to work with.
yeah, and we kind of like, hey, how did you come up with this pricing in the past? And it's like, well, it's historical. It's like, okay, historical based on population, based on budget, based on search. So I've been with the state library since 2019, and so the kind of the previous years, including what the kind of pivot we made with COVID, focus on that. We were working on really looking at Mullet and Evergreen, and so now it's time for us to look at OCLC and the whole contract and what we can do ways to serve libraries within the state. And this year for the contract or for our grant for Evergreen, we've provided funds for the conference. Next year we will not be doing that. We talked with Nikki and Sue about that. But we are hoping to get other ways to support you that really help you and is more cost prohibitive for Missouri Evergreen to do as a source. That's what we're working on. Robin and the staff are slowly, well, not slowly, keeping our ear to the ground about what's going on with state aid and what we want to do with the admin rule. The admin rule goes into effect on May 30th. And Robin should be contacting some directors to get a group together to work on sample collection development policies for those libraries.
I believe Katie with president of NPLD is working with her on that. I know that it can't necessarily come from the state librarian's office, but I think Robin is being an advisory person, but NPLD would be the one broadcasting that out, those sample policies, collection development, challenge policies, and things like that, in order for us to all succeed in our state aid applications.
And then the other thing we're watching is the House budget hearings and process to see what happens with state aid.
I think that we're all kind of getting a little lesson about how bills are passed and the whole legislative process, which is good for us to learn as well, because it does impact all of our libraries. So we learn as we go, right?
don't know if there's any grants that are open. But you can go onto the website, and find out if there's any grants open. I know later in the year, we'll have another technology grant.
And the PLA from 2022, that survey has not been verified yet, correct, at the federal level? Is that where we're at?
Correct.
We-
Let's see. Or mention that we've received stats back and we had to do just a little bit of cleanup and whatever, and then there's just one little final step, and it's kind of, that will be probably, well, definitely before the end of April, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's put that up on the website.
And that's important to Missouri Evergreen Libraries, just for the fact of the fiscal year. Next fiscal year budget for Missouri Evergreen fees are based on your budget. And according to the PLA survey, the late PLA survey, so that would have been 2022. So we're waiting for those to be verified and those to come out, so therefore we are moving forward with our budget planning for our next fiscal year for the construction.
Any questions? Thank you. It was nice seeing you here in person. I'm glad I was able to come and able to sit in instead of seeing these little boxes.
Thank you.
All right, I noticed probably an attendance sheet that's going around. If you have not signed that, maybe on this side of the room, let's go.
Yeah, we signed on the side.
Yeah. Put me on there, because I didn't sign it. That'd be great. That way, Rebecca, our secretary, she'll have that record and add it with the online people that I'm sure that they were probably already directed to put their name and their library and on the chat box for attendance for today's meeting as well. Right, there's, I think we're ready for Mala. Is Jane with us today? She is. Hi, Jane.
Hello, I'm here. So I can only see Sue, but I'm sure I'm just imagining a room full of people. So Sue looks great. I'm sure you all look great. So I have lots of news. So we finally have a new career coordinator. She started March 15th. Her name is Katrina High. So she is slow. She's actually very quickly learning the job. So we will have our first meet and greet with her in May. So check your newsletter we send out. I think it's usually the second or third Wednesday. You can meet her via Zoom. She's great. She's now responding to anything you put on the spreadsheet with problems, etc., with some guidance from Marcy and I. But like I said, she's catching on quick. We are already loving her, though still missing Linda. Okay, so we've been dealing with Cedar County. I don't know what you've all discussed on that. So just a couple things to clarify. There was some misunderstanding that it was going to be super easy for Henry to just switch to the other branch. That is not the case at all. It's a totally different route with a totally different volume load on that other route. So we're a little concerned right now of what's going to happen with the volume load, because this volume, this person has a bigger route that has more items. So to add in a library could cause a little problem. However, since we don't really know if their volume is going to stay the same, since one of their locations is shuttered right now using their wording, we're just playing it by ear. So we're just keeping an eye on it. The new label should be made Monday or Tuesday. So please make sure you get rid of all Stockton labels. The new labels will say El Dorado Springs. And the problem is, if you use a Stockton label, since they're not on the same route, they're just going to sit in the warehouse till someone says, oh yeah, that's the library that's closed, and they'll send them back to you. You know, they can't keep track. They deliver a million different things. So please don't use any Stockton labels. Just destroy those. El Dorado Springs labels will be out. I'm sorry, my dog wants to participate. The El Dorado Springs labels will be on the label maker, just like the Stockton ones were, but it has different coding. So it's going to have a whole different number. So that's always the issue when we either changed, Nevada moved from Joplin to Kansas City, so people kept using the old labels for quite a long time, even after lots of emails asking people not to. So that is a problem. They got their last delivery at Stockton today. A board member went and got it. So hopefully they were pretty caught up with what they had to miss 2 or 3 deliveries because no one, we just canceled because they couldn't get anybody to be there. So they should start their new deliveries on Wednesday. So that is good news for them that they're going to have their deliveries again. Just a reminder, as part of your grant, you need to report your outgoing materials by the 5th of the month for the previous month. So there's most of you do it great, and the people who don't might not even be part of Evergreen, but we still have some that come in like on the 20th for the previous month. So we need to probably work on tightening that up. And again, it's just outgoing. And a lot of you have already figured out if your last delivery of the month's like on the 28th, just based on the date, you can go ahead and do that month then. You don't have to wait till the actual new month. It registers and you just put in what month it's on. So just a little housekeeping reminder on that. Got my list on my phone here. Annual agreements are starting to go out. For those who are new, because I know there's always lots of new people, that is the agreement everybody signs, whether you're paying or not paying. If the state library is paying for it, you still need to sign your annual agreement and send it back to us. So we did have a problem with a couple libraries last year, not understanding that they thought it was for only people who pay for extra days. With that annual agreement, there'll be some mention of the billing. And so those will come out a little bit later. Our year starts on July 1st. So we send all these out in plenty of time for you to get them back. On that, I just want to touch on, I'm sorry, my dogs just really want to be with you all. That we have a volume number that has been put together. Mickey was involved with the state library of when we think for the best services for everybody, at what volume should you add another day? And so that has worked pretty well. And what you have to think about is you don't really know, and I don't really know how many libraries are on every route. And so when you get to a certain amount, you're like, well, that works for me at the library. It may be putting a hardship on those other libraries because you may have some smaller libraries that's their only day they get things. And if you're filling the vehicles with yours because you're a really high volume, that can cause problems down the road. And so there'll be a few of you that might get something asking you to increase a day. And that's the reason why it's because we all work together as, you guys, especially Evergreen as a consortium, we're trying to get the best use of the fewest dollars for everybody, but also to make sure things just don't get bogged up and stuck because they just can't fit them all. If you're doing 20,000 volumes a year, it's very different than the people who are doing, 200,000 or whatever. And speaking of volume, we've already surpassed 1 million items. We're on board to surpass 1 million. So it looks like we're doing great. We're already at like 864, I think, 864,000. So way to go, libraries, you guys. And as Janet said, you do a bulk of it. And I'm just going to do a little shout out for our Mala Pro membership. We're doing an early bird discount on that. And it's a great way to get very inexpensive professional development for you staff. If you join Mala Pro, all of your staff can watch anything we have on the Niche Academy once it's 3 months past new. So even if you don't have time or enough staff to warrant to take someone away to do an hour-long webinar, you'll have access to these after 3 months. And we have lots of really great things coming up and in the past. So just a shout out for that. And then an early shout out for, I heard Janet mention surveys. So there'll be a survey, I think it comes out in May, And it is required from the LSTA, so we just, we usually have great response, but just a little shout out to watch that. We've kept it pretty much the same as last year. So talked fast, I think I got everything in. Any questions?
I have two. All right, so the first one, Cedar County, right now that is just an interim change. That's not a permanent change, correct?
No, they told us it was a permanent change to location at El Dorado Springs
Okay, so we
from
are
their board.
at every Stockton branch label. And she's gonna provide new labels next week, early next week for the El
Exactly.
Dorado. And that
Exactly,
change, correct?
correct. So it's a kind of a big deal to change. So we checked with them a bunch to make sure this was going to be a permanent change. And by permanent, it may not be for years, but it's for the foreseeable future. So,
Okay. All right, the other question was regarding the annual contract that we all have to sign, each individual library has to sign with you for Mala for courier services. We needed to include the state subsidy days and if your library is able to provide revenue for another day of service, all that needs to be on the same form. Correct?
the annual agreement is actually a different form than the billing. So that will be on billing. On the annual agreement, it will just say you are receiving, and I believe it only lists the LSTA. The ones that are funded. It's just saying you're agreeing to follow, those kind of rules. Then there's a couple libraries in the state that do not get LSTA and are strictly private, so they get something different. But yes, it's an annual agreement more that you realize the service is being provided for you by the state library and LSTA.
That clarification. Anything else have questions for Jane? Missouri Evergreen wouldn't exist without Mala and the courier service, so big steps for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I do enjoy all of you.
We are now to the point of other matters, and I know from the executive board meeting this morning, we talked about bringing some other things in front of the general membership. Do we need to do that now, or do we need to kind of talk about that? I know there were things that we were going to propose in June, or do we need to do the slate of officers now? Or I'm trying to think about the timeline and how we need to do that. I'm looking at Diane. So do we do like the nominating, the recommendation from the nominating committee, which is Shannon, for the officers that we will be voting on in June? Yep, okay. Yep, it's your turn.
So the board members or the slate of officers?
Slate of officers and board members both.
There are
Just
3 board members whose terms will be complete in 2023. That is Ron Eifert, Sue Lightfoot Orion, and Shannon McGinn. So they have all 3 agreed to serve another term. So we'll bring those 3 board members to the June meeting for a vote. And then we will seat a new slate of officers on July 1. And that proposed slate of officers was Sue as past chair, Ron as chair, Rebecca Payne as vice chair, Karen Graham as secretary, and myself, Shannon McGinn, as treasurer. So I believe by bylaws, the board votes on the officers amongst themselves, but the general membership will vote on the board members at the June meeting.
nominations from.
Yes, yeah, so if you would like to. Amongst yourselves, and I'll correct some board member names from at the June meeting. We'll be glad to place those on up for a vote as well.
And
That's all.
And I know that Jeff Trinkle, he is a board member, and he will be retiring in November. You look at him smile on his face. So I do, there will be a board seat available after his retirement. And there, we will fill that vacancy according to our bylaws and bring that back to the membership for filling that probably in the December meeting. Was there something else that we needed to discuss? I'm trying to remember.
Do you want to give an update on the director search?
Sure. We have, or we are now in the phase of actively seeking Mickey's replacement. Well, we know of one interested party. But I know that we're training that instead of just doing job postings, now we are actively seeking an executive director. That means today Shannon posted on LinkedIn. Where else did you post?
Some Facebook groups, the library management group on Facebook and the library think tank group on Facebook. And we sent it into I Need a Library Job, INALJ.org.
Do you already know about that? Because that was new to me. I need a library job.org. Okay. That might be really good for staff recruiting. As well. So yeah, so we are actively seeking the executive director's position to be filled. Once again, I'm going to encourage Jeff, retiring library directors, to talk to the board. Talk to us about the position and what all that entails. I know that was a lot of our strategic plan and actually outlining the executive director's role. It'll be more like how we are as library directors, where the board hires a library director, the library director does his or her thing. And therefore that's kind of the setup that we are having for the executive position. So, was there anything else from circulation or from Caroline that we needed to make a mention of? I know you briefly talked about things that we're going to be talking about in June, data integrity and things like that. So, there's a lot more things going on in the background, but once again, we encourage your participation and we can hear your voice. Anything else that we need to talk about? Yeah, it's Ron.
Just for the good of the order, Katie Earnhardt, the library director at Cape Library, who is NPLD president, is going to be on the Lawrence O'Donnell show tonight on MSNBC to talk about the library funding in House Bill 12.
We wish you well, Katie. Yay. All right, I want to personally thank Mickey for setting it up here, our first users conference, and handling all the details that was involved with that. I want to thank Mornet for the use of their awesome space. I think it was a really great setup for us. And I especially want to thank Erica and Galen for joining us from Equinox. We really appreciate you being here with us and hearing firsthand some of our challenges and struggles, and just because I need to help to get to that, you sell tickets, somebody's gonna listen to you. Yeah, that's been the whole, that's been the joke, but seriously, the amount of support and the quick response time is so greatly appreciated. I know that if anybody that's been in a different ILS system, that there was no technical support. Or you might be on the phone for hours on hold, or you might do an email that might get answered, might not. These people are right there with us, really ready to respond, and we so value that and appreciate it. Thank you very much. What else we need to do?
Adjourn.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Kate. Second, please.
Second. Can I do that?
Okay, your name again.
Sorry, Chrissy, I forgot my name.
That's right, Chrissy. We have a motion and a second, and we all need to say safe travels.
You're not going anywhere. You have to-
Don't have any.
Alright.
That's great.
Seven.
And it's straight down at the end.